Report in your package is for the month of October 2014 as part of our fiscal year 2015. You'll see on the first page of the report that year to date we have collected 39% of our anticipated receipts, or an amount of $312.2 million. A year ago, end of October, we had collected $302,148. So we're up still about $10 million on the revenue side. Since this report was produced, however, we've received an additional $80 million in property taxes through the Tax Commissioner's Office. That will show up, of course, on the next report. Against those revenues, we've expended $193.1 million of our general operating budget. Expenditure amount a year ago was about $182.1 million, but of course the budget was smaller then. If you go to the third page of the report and take a look at the trend analysis, you'll see that we're up a bit in each of our major revenue sources, on the local side and on the state side. We projected to be at the end of October at $303,064 million. We're actually at the $312,269 million. On the local side, we had projected $217,179, but we're actually at $223,400 million. On the state, we had projected to be at 85.8. We're actually at 88.8. So both of our major revenue components are ahead a bit. Moving further into the report, you'll see that on the good news side, on page 13, we have booked the fund balance for the end of 14 at $40,968,000. But when you compare the revenue we've collected this year to that amount, plus the amount we have collected more than we have spent, we have an operating surplus, or had an operating surplus at October 31, 2014 of $160,077,077. Of course, it's the end of tax season. As we go forward, we'll be continuing to spend, and the ad valorem taxes will end. And that, of course, puts pressure on us. But as we did last year, we hope to maintain a cushion as we get to the end of the year and hopefully add to that fund balance amount $10 or $15 million. But that all remains to be seen as we go forward. Further on into the report, we had a page on emergency purchases, but we didn't have anything to record. That would be page 35 for this report, I noted. And the variance analysis report kind of reiterates what I've said, is that we projected to be on the receipt side at the 303. We're at the 312. We projected to be on the expenditure side of 193,382, and we're slightly below that at $193,161,000. That is the monthly financial report. We did, of course, send out the Bender Spend report. Bender Spend report grows as we go through the year. We're up to 183 pages on the Bender Spend report as of this reporting period. That is the monthly report for October, and I would ask that y'all would accept that.
Discussion? Mr. Mayfield?
Yeah, I just had one question, Dr. Bell, and thanks for the report. How would the accelerated collections, my term, affect the speed with which we might pay off the TANs, and how might we benefit from that, or will it?
Yeah, the TANs are a fixed rate, fixed period note. The day we closed the TAN issue, we borrowed that amount of money to be paid back, the principal and the interest, on the date certain of December 16th. There's not a prepayment provision on it, and it's good to keep the money available, so it's going to be paid December 16th. It doesn't affect it.
Mr. Campbell?
Dr. Bill, one quick question.
Yes, sir.
Page 4, transportation. If you look at the year-to-date column, 1.5 through last year, 1.5 this time last, 1.5 million this time last year, 2 million this year, and the forecasted budget is 2.5 million. Looks like we're running just a little bit high. Do you have an explanation off the top of your head why, what those numbers represent?
I would have to check into it, but it might have something to do with the purchase of supplies or or forward purchases of fuel. We'd have to check into it, but I will.
Okay, just curious. The
Yes, sir.
2 million versus 2.5 through June.
That's revenue, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right.
Mr.
That's
McMahon?
revenue. So, yeah, so apparently, certain things like field trips and that kind of thing are ahead of the projection.
Mr. McMahon?
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Bell, this is more of a year question regarding mid-year adjustments, and when would you be presenting the board with our mid-year adjustments, and then also when do you think we would be presented with budget preparation for fiscal 16?
Okay. The mid-year adjustments, we're still accumulating. There's a lot of detail. It's probably somewhere between 2 and 4 million, particularly when you consider some of the emergency purchases that were authorized. Probably we'll have everything in the middle of January tied down, so probably at the February meeting. Relative to going forward on the FY16 budget, I think the procedure here is that in April, we're supposed to, working with the tax commissioner, come up with the best projection for the revenue environment, and I'm supposed to inform the superintendent in April as to what we see in terms of revenue, what might happen to the digest and that type of thing. Once we get that, we'll take a look at where we are with the student body, and those revenue projections will go to Mr. Thurman, so it'll probably be in May, late April, May, where we start really tying down what we need to do for 16.
I appreciate that, and I'd really like our board to focus on our goals, financial goals for our next school year. I think we've had to deal with in a reactive mode sometimes. I think everybody here wants to improve the compensation for our hardworking teachers and staff, and that the sooner we address that and let our employees know and the public know that DeKalb County is focused on increasing the compensation for our employees, the better. So we'll work on that from a board standpoint and figure out a prioritization of our financial goals, and then look forward to working with you and your staff on getting that communication out
Yes, sir.
to the public. So I thank you for that timeline.
No further questions or comments. Is there any opposition to placing this item on the consent agenda? Hearing none, this item will be placed on the consent agenda.